Hi, I'm Riley from Cayman eFoil, a certified lift foils partner, and today I'm going to show you all the fundamentals you need to safely get up on a lift eFoil. So the seriousness of the nature here today is that we are dealing with outboard motors. So our number one rule here today is right here on our remote. That top button is super important. You turn that on, your motor's live right away. So our number one rule here today is when you are in the water, I want you to turn off that remote, get back to your board. Once you're on top of your board, you can then turn on the remote and have a good time. So right here today, we have the Lift 4 5'4" Cruiser. This is a great entry-level board. This is what everybody learns on. Okay, and over here, we have a 4'9" Sport. Great board to purchase to enhance your skills, to progress in the sport. Definitely want to start on the 5'4" before you jump to the 4'9". Okay, like I mentioned before, the most important button is this top button. As soon as you hit that, you are live. All right, so just a reminder, turning off that top button, there is no way that that motor is going to spin at all with that remote off. Okay, so we're swimming back to our board right now. We're preferably going to get on from the side. That's going to keep us away from the outboard motor, and it's also going to keep us away from kicking the wings. So getting on from the side, we're going to get as far forward on the board as possible without the nose of the board going under. Okay? This whole sport is right here in the remote. So let's turn that on. Now, there's not too many buttons on here. Let's go through them all. This top button here turns on your remote, and now your board is live. Okay, the button below the screen here is your governor setting. You click that and it takes you to this lightning bolt. You got plus and minus buttons here, right? There is a little latency in the screen, so be patient with it. Okay, you don't need to hold these buttons, just clicks works fine. We're going back down to a 3. We're going to lock it in with the same button that took us to that governor setting screen. So you're always going to be looking at your battery percentage when you're riding your eFoil. All right, we're going to crawl on the board, get on our stomach. We're going to get as far forward on the board as possible without the nose going under. We're going to turn on that remote, grab the nose right by the center, and we're going to ease into that trigger. Okay, please avoid trying to grab this board with your remote hand. It's going to affect your trigger control. Okay, so one hand up here, easing into the trigger. We're scooching up on the board, bringing that weight forward. We got that forward weight. We got enough speed here. So we're then gonna get up to our knees. Now I don't want you to get up on your knees like this. We got way too much weight back there, okay? We don't want you to drag them up either because the chafing is gonna suck, all right? So let's crawl on up, bring our knees up the side. See how I'm barely touching the board here? Keeping that forward weight, up to our knees, forward, okay? Our knees are placed right here on the board, okay? Your knees should never pass the hatch, and your hands are up here on the nose. Keeping that weight forward, keep that nose down, keep the board planing. That's what it's all about. So here we are, keeping that board planing, nice and square. If our knees are too far forward, our micro adjustments here are not going to work so well. Okay, so let's keep it nice and square, keep it forward. We got some consistent speed. We're going to plant our feet. So let's bring that front foot all the way up, keeping our hands planted while we plant that back foot. And then we're going to slowly stand up with forward weight and relax. So here we are, nice and relaxed. We're not crouched down, all right? We're nice and relaxed. Let's talk a bit about our feet here, okay? We got a center line right here on the board, okay? On this center line, in this sport, the knuckles of our front toes do not want to cross our back ankle, okay? Front toes never cross your back ankle. They can line up, but as soon as you do that, you're really taking away from a lot of the stability on the board. So when our feet are lined up like this, as if we're skateboarding or snowboarding, there's no toe heel edge turning in this sport, okay? It's gonna cause some serious instability. Let's keep it wide. Knuckles of your front toes don't cross your back ankle. Keeping it nice and wide on the board, slightly wider than shoulder width. Okay? Relax and keep that back shoulder rotated forward. That's naturally going to put weight over your front leg. Okay? So nice relaxed stance. We're cruising around using our hip and our shoulder weight to manipulate where we want the board to go. Hip and shoulder weight is how we manipulate where the board goes. Turning with your feet is going to cause the wobbles. Okay? So if we want to go to our backside, we simply just keep it up nice and straight, nice and wide when you're first learning this sport. Going to our toe side, keeping that shoulder rotated forward. I want you to lean over the front corner of the nose with your chest, bend the knees into it. It's going to turn real nice for you. Okay? Relax. Take your time. Take your time through everything with this sport. That's the secret to progressing in eFoiling. So we've done some turns now. Now it's time to move our feet back on the board into the fly zone. Now when you're doing that, I want you just to do little pivots back. Bring your front foot back, keeping forward weight while you're moving these feet back. Now we're in the fly zone. Let me show you. Our feet were here and here. We're now bringing this back foot back, little shimmy, keeping forward weight. Check it out. Bring this front foot back about 3-4 inches from the front edge of this mat. We're now into what we call the fly zone. Okay? We are nowhere back here on the board today. Okay? Here, I've checked the foot out on the board for a bit more stability. Now that we're in that fly zone, we're back on the board, more centrally located on the board. We got some good speed. We can simply just rock our hip and shoulder weight back nice and evenly. As soon as you come up on the foil, I want you to bring it down with your weight. Do not slow down when you're coming up on the foil. Speed gives us stability. We want to keep that stability, right? So, just leaning back. As soon as you feel yourself coming up, I want you to lean forward. Bring it down, land it, take your time, and do it again. Come on up. You don't need to use the whole mass. Just come up a few inches or so, maybe a foot, bring it down. A reminder, do not slow down when you're coming up on the foil. So, we're cruising around and the reality is we're gonna fall. All right, so the most important thing today here is I need you to commit to your bails. Commit to your bails. Now, what does that mean? It means when it comes to falling off the board, I need you to own it. I need you to commit. Now, preferably, we want you jumping off the backside of the board, pushing away, finger off the trigger as you're jumping off the board, okay? Finger off the trigger. And don't worry, the remote floats. If this flies out of your hand, that's fine. It floats. Now, the reality is we're gonna fall whichever way we're gonna fall. I just need you to own it. If we need to fall this way, really jump away from the board, commit, okay? Finger off the trigger, you're landing in the water. Then you're gonna turn off your remote before swimming back to your board. That's our outboard motor safety rule. Turn off that remote when you're in the water. Swim back to your board, get on from the side, as far forward without the nose going under. All right, remote back on. We're gonna ease into that trigger and try it all again. All right, hands and knees, forward weight. Got some good speed here, keeping it forward, bringing that front foot up, planting those hands. Forward weight as you slowly come up. Rotating that front foot in for comfort and breathe.